In the shadow of the burgeoning Cold War, a clandestine network of secret armies was established across Western Europe. This network, known broadly as Operation Gladio, was designed as a stay-behind force to counter a potential Soviet invasion. The official purpose was to form a resistance movement, engaging in guerrilla warfare and sabotage behind enemy lines. These secret soldiers were recruited, armed, and trained by Western intelligence agencies, primarily the American CIA and the British MI6. Coordination was handled through secretive committees within the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO. The Western Union Clandestine Committee was formed in 1948, marking the formal beginning of this covert cooperation. This body was later integrated into NATO's structure as the Clandestine Planning Committee, CPC, in 1949. By 1958, a new coordinating body, the Allied Clandestine Committee, ACC, was established to oversee the operations. While the name Gladio specifically refers to the Italian branch, it has become the umbrella term for all such stay-behind units. The network's existence remained one of the Cold War's most deeply buried secrets for over 4 decades. Recruits were often drawn from civilian populations, including former soldiers, anti-communists, and even right-wing extremists. Their training was comprehensive, covering sabotage, silent killing, espionage, and encrypted communications. Hidden arms caches were buried in forests, fields, and even beneath churches and cemeteries across the continent. These caches contained explosives, machine guns, mortars, ammunition, and sophisticated radio equipment. The legacy of these armies, however, is not one of heroic resistance, but of deep political controversy and violence. In Italy, the Gladio network became entangled in a sinister campaign known as the Strategy of Tension. This strategy involved carrying out false flag terrorist attacks to create a climate of fear and instability. The goal was to discredit left-wing political movements, particularly the powerful Italian Communist Party. It was hoped that a terrified populace would demand a more authoritarian, right-wing government for security. A pivotal event was the 1972 Pitano car bomb attack, which killed 3 Carabinieri officers. Initially, the bombing was blamed on leftist militants, fitting the strategy's narrative perfectly. Years later, an intrepid investigating judge named Felice Casson reopened the case. Casson's investigation uncovered that the explosive used was military-grade C4, not dynamite typically used by left-wing groups. He traced the C4 to a hidden Gladio arms cache located near Trieste. This discovery was the thread that would unravel the entire secret network in Italy. The investigation led to the arrest and confession of a right-wing extremist named Vincenzo Vinciguerra. Vinciguerra admitted to planting the Pitano bomb, confirming the false flag nature of the attack. Testified that the attack was designed to push the state to declare a state of emergency. He chillingly stated, "You had to attack civilians, the people, women, children, innocent people. Nice." The purpose, he explained, was to force these people to turn to the state to ask for greater security. Vinciguerra also confirmed that he had been protected by elements within the Italian secret services. Further inquiries linked Gladio and associated right-wing groups to other horrific acts of terror. The most notorious of these was the 1980 Bologna railway station bombing, which killed 85 people. The Italian branch of Gladio was also deeply connected with the infamous propaganda du P2, Masonic Lodge. P2 was a shadow government, a cabal of powerful figures in politics, military, and finance. Revelations about Italy sent shockwaves across Europe, prompting questions everywhere. It soon became clear that Italy was not an isolated case. The network was continent-wide. In Belgium, the stay-behind army was codenamed Straight. This unit was linked to a series of incredibly violent attacks known as the Brabant massacres in the 1980s. Gunmen would randomly open fire on shoppers in supermarkets, killing men, women, and children. A Belgian parliamentary inquiry confirmed the existence of the secret army and its NATO links. However, it could not definitively prove the army's role in the massacres due to official obstruction. In Turkey, the stay-behind unit was known as the counter-guerrilla. It was deeply intertwined with the state security apparatus and far-right nationalist groups like the Grey Wolves. The Turkish counter-guerrilla has been implicated in torture, assassinations, and the suppression of minorities. It is also believed to have played a significant role in the military coups of 1971 and 1980. Prime Minister Bülent Ecevit acknowledged the unit's existence as early as 1973. Unlike in other countries, the Turkish stay-behind network was never truly dismantled. In West Germany, the stay-behind organization was linked to former Nazi officers. A secret army known as the Schnellstruppe was established without the German government's knowledge. Allegations arose linking weapons from secret caches to the 1980 Oktoberfest bombing in Munich. In Greece, the network was codenamed Operation Sheepskin. Greek stay-behind force, known as the LOK, was integrated into the military. It played a part in the 1967 coup d'etat that established the regime of the colonels. In neutral Switzerland, a secret army known as P-26 was uncovered. A separate intelligence-gathering service, P-27, also operated without full parliamentary oversight. A Swiss parliamentary inquiry, the PAC-MD, detailed the activities of these secret forces. In France, an early stay-behind network was called Plan Bleu. Later, the French secret army was part of an organization known as La Rose de Vence, the Wind Rose. The public exposure of the entire Gladio network began in earnest in 1990. Following Judge Cassin's revelations, Italian Prime Minister Giulio Andreotti was forced to act. In October 1990, Andreotti confirmed the existence of Gladio to the Italian parliament. He revealed details of its structure, but downplayed its sinister activities. The admission created a political firestorm that could not be contained. The European Parliament passed a sharp resolution in November 1990. The resolution condemned NATO's role in the secret armies and their illegal interference in politics. It called for full investigations in every country where such networks had existed. Despite this, only 3 countries, Italy, Belgium, and Switzerland, conducted full parliamentary inquiries. The administration of U.S. President George H.W. Bush refused to comment on the revelations. NATO also remained tight-lipped, deflecting questions by stating it was a matter for the individual nations. Following the public outcry, many of the stay-behind networks were officially dissolved in the early 1990s. However, the full extent of their activities remains unknown to this day. Many official records in numerous countries, as well as at NATO, remain classified. The history of Operation Gladio raises profound questions about national sovereignty. It challenges the notion of democratic oversight within Western nations during the Cold War. It reveals a secret, parallel state structure prepared to manipulate public opinion through fear. Network's actions blurred the line between national defense and state-sponsored terrorism. Gladio serves as a chilling reminder of the secret and often violent underbelly of the Cold War. The fear of communism was used to justify the creation of unaccountable and dangerous paramilitary forces. These forces were not just waiting for an invasion that never came. In several countries, they became active participants in domestic political struggles. The story of Gladio is a cautionary tale about the dangers of secrecy in a democracy. It demonstrates how easily the tools of covert action can be turned against a nation's own citizens. The full truth of these hidden armies may never be fully brought to light. The initial concept was born from the experiences of the British Special Operations Executive, SOE, in WWETY. The SOE had successfully organized resistance movements in Nazi-occupied territories. Post-war planners sought to replicate this model for a potential future occupation by the Red Army. The United States was particularly concerned about the strength of communist parties in France and Italy. This fear provided the political impetus to create a secret line of defense. The Gladio network operated under a doctrine of unorthodox warfare. Operatives were trained in specialized centers, often in the United Kingdom and the United States. The secrecy was paramount. Many operatives did not know the full extent of the network. They often operated in small, isolated cells to prevent compromise. The discovery of arms caches sometimes happened by accident, causing local panic. In the case of Italy, the strategy of tension was a deliberate choice by a faction within the state. This faction sought to halt a historic compromise between Christian Democrats and communists. While Gladio was not directly implicated in Moro's death, the event served the strategy's aims perfectly. The web of intrigue also included attempts to use the secret armies to stage coups. In 1964, a planned coup in Italy, Piano Solo, was narrowly averted. In 1970, another right-wing coup attempt, the Golpe Borghesis, failed almost comically. These events highlighted the presence of a subversive element within the state, ready to act. The Gladio scandal revealed that the deep state was not a conspiracy theory, but a reality. The term Gladio itself is Latin for a short, double-edged sword used by Roman legionaries. The name was symbolic of a swift, deadly, and close-quarters form of combat. Network's funding was channeled through covert budgets within the CIA and national defense ministries. This made it impossible for parliaments to track the flow of money. The operatives were promised that if caught, they would be disavowed by their governments. This created a culture of extreme loyalty within the cells, but also extreme paranoia. The Brabant massacres in Belgium remain unsolved, a deep scar on the national psyche. The randomness of the violence was its most terrifying aspect, creating widespread fear. In Spain, the stay-behind network was active during the transition from Franco's dictatorship to democracy. It was linked to right-wing terrorist attacks aimed at destabilizing the new democratic government. In Portugal, the network was known as Aginter Press, disguised as a news agency. This front allowed operatives to travel and operate under the cover of being journalists. The legacy of Gladio complicates the official narrative of the Cold War. It was not simply a struggle between two superpowers, but also an internal war within the West. This internal war was fought in the shadows, against democratically elected parties and civilians. The soldiers of Gladio were the ghosts of this hidden conflict. Their actions were justified by their handlers as a necessary evil to prevent a greater one. But for the victims of the strategy of tension, it was simply evil. The debate continues over whether these networks were rogue elements or following orders. The evidence suggests a high degree of coordination from the highest levels of NATO and the CIA. The story of Gladio is a stark warning about the potential for abuse when security operates without oversight. It underscores the fragility of democratic institutions in the face of determined, secret powers. The Cold War may be over, but the questions raised by Operation Gladio remain deeply relevant. The network's existence was a direct contradiction of the democratic values NATO claimed to protect. In Austria, a Gladio arms cache was discovered in a forest near an old salt mine in 1996. The Austrian government was forced to admit it had hosted a stay-behind unit on its neutral territory. In Norway, the stay-behind network was codenamed Rock. In the Netherlands, the unit was known as Operations and Intelligence. The Dutch defense minister admitted its existence but claimed it had been disbanded. Gladio affair exposed a deep-seated hypocrisy at the heart of the Western alliance. It showed a willingness to sacrifice democratic principles for geopolitical advantage. The ghosts of Gladio continue to haunt Europe, a testament to a secret, bloody history.